The 5 alien ships descended through Earth's atmosphere with their shields glowing bright red. Inside each ship, a young alien student clutched their emergency guide with trembling appendages. They had heard the stories about Earth, the planet, that other species whispered about in fear. The Hellworld Zix from Zorion 4 felt the ship shake as it entered Earth's air. His crystalline body, perfectly adapted to the gentle 0.3 g gravity of his home world, already ached from the increasing pressure. He looked at his datapad. Earth gravity, 1.0 g, 3 times stronger than home. His internal structures creaked and groaned. This was going to be torture. In the second ship, Thrill pressed all 6 of her suction cups against the viewing port. Water from her home planet of Neptus had an oxygen content of 0.01%. Earth's atmosphere contained 21% oxygen. Her breathing apparatus hissed and wheezed as it tried to filter out the toxic levels of oxygen that would burn her gills. She wondered if she had made a terrible mistake. Kree, the insectoid from Hive Prime, felt panic signals spreading through his colony mind connection. His compound eyes detected rapid temperature changes, pressure variations, and something terrifying: chaotic wind patterns. On Hive Prime, the weather was controlled by their central atmospheric management system. Here on Earth, something called weather just happened randomly. His antennae picked up electrical discharges in the clouds, lightning. On Hive Prime, any electrical anomaly was immediately corrected. Here, beings actually lived with it. The gaseous being Mox from Cloud Drift was already sealed inside a specially designed environmental suit. His natural form existed in a low-pressure atmosphere with trace gases. Earth's dense air would compress his body into a painful, possibly lethal state. The suit made horrible whirring sounds as it maintained the proper pressure differential. He wondered if the suit would last the entire exchange program. What if it failed? Then, the silicon-based student from Rockworld felt the ground beneath their landing site through their geological sensors. The readings made their crystalline heart race with fear. Tectonic activity levels were off the scale. On Rockworld, the crust had been stable for millions of years. Here, the ground actually moved. Earthquakes, volcanic activity. How did anything survive on a planet that was constantly trying to shake itself apart? The ships landed at Stanford University on a warm California morning. Jake, Amy, Connor, Lisa, and Ben waited at the landing pad. They had volunteered to be the first human guides for the alien exchange program. They wore special badges marking them as official hosts and held welcome signs in multiple languages. Jake bounced on his toes with excitement. As an engineering student, he couldn't wait to meet Zix and learn about crystalline technology. Amy, the biology major, had studied Thrill's aquatic species for months. Connor, passionate about meteorology, wondered what Kree thought of Earth's weather. Lisa, focused on environmental science, was curious about how Mox perceived Earth's atmosphere. Ben, the geology enthusiast, could hardly wait to show Ven the amazing geological features of Earth. The ship doors opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Zix emerged first, supported by a mechanical exoskeleton that helped distribute his weight. His crystal body refracted the sunlight into beautiful patterns, but Jake could see him struggling with each step. The exoskeleton's servos whined with effort. "Welcome to Earth, Zix," Jake said with a big smile. "I'm Jake, your host." Zix's translator converted the sounds into patterns his species could understand. "Your gravity," he managed to communicate back, "is crushing. How do you function?" Thrill came out next, encased in what looked like a water-filled spacesuit with multiple filters. Her 6 tentacles moved sluggishly in the Earth air. Amy noticed the suit's oxygen scrubbers working overtime. "The air," Thrill gurgled through her. "Translator burns too much oxygen. How do you not combust?" Kree skittered out on his 12 legs, his carapace already showing stress fractures from the humidity. He immediately scanned the sky and detected clouds forming. "Storm systems approaching," he clicked rapidly. "No control mechanisms detected. You live with random weather?" Mox floated out in his pressure suit, looking like a balloon with sensors. The suit made constant adjustments with loud mechanical sounds. "Pressure differential," he gasped. Too intense. Atmosphere too dense. How do you not collapse? Ven emerged last, riding on a specialized platform that kept their weight distributed. Their mineral-based body showed hairline fractures. Seismic activity, they rumbled through their translator. Everywhere, ground unstable. How do you not fall into cracks? The 5 human students looked at each other. They had expected some adjustment difficulties, but nothing like this. These beings were treating Earth like a death trap. Don't worry, Amy said cheerfully. You'll get used to it. We'll help you adjust. Adjust? Zix's translated voice carried clear disbelief. To this Hellworld? Hellworld? Ben asked, confused. But Earth is pretty nice. I mean, the weather's great here in California. The aliens exchanged what their host began to recognize as worried communications. In their languages, they shared a term that the translators rendered as the Forge of Torment, or simply Hellworld. Jake noticed that Zix was already leaning heavily on his exoskeleton. Here, let me help you to the transport. It's got special cushioning. As they helped their new alien friends to the specially modified vehicles, the human students began to realize something important. These beings weren't just being dramatic. They were genuinely struggling with conditions that humans considered normal, even pleasant. Connor pulled out his phone to show Cree the weather app. See? It's only going to rain a little tomorrow. Nothing too serious. Cree's compound eyes focused on the screen. His antennae drooped in what the students were learning was despair. Water falling from sky. Uncontrolled. For hours. This is normal? Sure, Connor said. Rain's pretty common. Sometimes it even storms with lightning and thunder. That's kind of exciting. All 5 aliens made what sounded like distress calls. Their first day on Earth was making one thing very clear. What humans called home, the galaxy called a nightmare. As the transport vehicles carried them toward the campus, the alien students began their first official reports back to their home worlds. The message was unanimous. Earth was indeed a hellworld, and its inhabitants were either incredibly brave or completely insane to live there. Jake chatted excitedly with Zix about engineering projects, completely unaware that Zix was using all his concentration just to keep his crystalline structure from fracturing further under Earth's massive gravity. The exchange program had officially begun, and both sides were about to learn things about each other that would change the galaxy forever. The humans were about to discover how extreme their world actually was. The aliens were about to learn what surviving on a hell world could create. Day 1 on Earth was complete, and already the alien students were wondering if they would make it to day 2. The next morning began with what humans called a normal day, and what the alien students would later report as the morning of 1,000 dangers. Zix woke up in his special chamber, a room filled with synthetic crystal matrices that helped distribute Earth's crushing gravity. Even with the support, his body ached from strain. His chronometer chimed the time, 7 a.m. Time for what Jake had called breakfast. In the alien dormitory's common area, the 5 students gathered around a table that humans had modified for multiple species. Thrill sat in a tank of specially treated water, her translator projecting her voice. Mox floated in his pressure suit, the machine constantly humming. Cree perched on a platform designed for his 12 legs. Ven rested on a reinforced floor section that could handle their mineral-based weight. Today, Jake announced cheerfully as he entered with a tray, you guys are going to experience a real American breakfast. He set down plates containing eggs, toast, orange juice, and what he called bacon. The aliens examined the food with various sensors, tentacles, and optical equipment. Chemical analysis complete, Ven rumbled from their translator. This substance contains proteins not found in any safe galactic food database, potentially lethal to 97% of known species. What? Jake looked confused. It's just eggs and bacon, totally normal. Thrill extended one tentacle toward the orange juice, her scanner immediately retracting it. Citric acid concentration dangerous. pH levels would damage our cellular structure. And this, Cree clicked, pointing at the toast with one of his forearms. Contains gluten which our species cannot process. Also, the heat signature indicates it was exposed to temperatures that would sterilize our food processors. Mox's suit speakers crackled. Chemical composition of all items would react violently with our digestive processes. How do humans consume these toxins? Jake scratched his head. Look, I know the food's different, but we eat this stuff every day. It's not toxic to us. That's the point, Amy said, entering with a notepad. You can eat things that would kill most galactic species. Like, do you guys know humans can eat things that are literally poisons to other animals? Chocolate kills dogs, but we eat it for fun. The alien students made various sounds of distress. After the breakfast challenge, Connor led Cree outside for their first campus walk. The meteorology student was excited to show his insectoid friend the weather station. As they stepped outside, Connor felt the mild California sun and enjoyed the gentle 72-degree temperature. Cree immediately opened all his sensory equipment. His compound eyes detected ultraviolet radiation levels that would require protective gear on Hive Prime. His humidity sensors registered air moisture that felt like swimming through thick liquid. Worst of all, his pressure-sensitive antennae detected something approaching. Storm system advancing. Cree clicked frantically. Category 2 atmospheric. Disturbance. Must seek shelter immediately. Connor looked at the sky. Where? I see one tiny cloud. That's not even close to a storm. Warning, warning, Cree's translator broadcast at increasing volume. Precipitation event imminent. Estimated survival time in open. 3 minutes maximum. Connor felt a single raindrop hit his nose. Oh, that? It's just a little drizzle. But Cree had already curled into a defensive ball, his carapace clicking shut. Acid rain, chemical warfare, abandoned planetary position. Students passing by stopped to watch Connor try to convince a ball of clicking chitin that a light drizzle wasn't dangerous. Meanwhile, in the biology building, Amy was showing Thrill the aquatic research facility. Thrill's eyes swiveled in directions Amy didn't know eyes could move as she examined what humans called a swimming pool. This is the recreational aquatic facility, Amy explained. Students swim here for exercise and fun. Thrill's water suit filled with bubbles as she analyzed the pool. Chlorine levels detected, dangerous chemical treatment, temperature gradient unstable, multiple biological contaminants. This is a toxic waste containment unit? No, it's a pool, Amy said patiently. People swim in it. Kids even dive in for fun. Humans voluntarily immerse themselves in chemically treated water at dangerous temperatures for enjoyment? Thrill's tentacles actually turned pale. Your species enjoys activities that would require emergency medical treatment for us. In the engineering workshop, Jake was having his own challenges with Zix. The crystalline being was attempting to lift what Jake considered a light tool, a standard screwdriver weighing about 3 ounces. Come on, Zix, Jake encouraged. It's just a screwdriver, super useful for tinkering. Zix's exoskeleton groaned as it tried to help him lift the tool. His crystalline structure showed stress fractures just from the attempt. This mass, at this gravitational intensity, would require our heavy machinery to move safely. Really? Jake picked up the screwdriver and twirled it casually. Watch this. He began juggling 3 screwdrivers. Zix watched in horror as Jake tossed around what to him were 3 planet crushers. Your muscle system can manipulate multiple dense objects in gravitational flux? While maintaining balance, this is impossible physics. Lisa was having a similar revelation with Mox in the environmental science lab. She was showing him a simple terrarium, a glass container with plants and soil. This demonstrates a basic ecosystem, Lisa explained, pointing to the plants. Water cycle, photosynthesis, natural decomposition. Mox's suit sensors went crazy. Warning, uncontrolled biological processes detected, multiple species existing without habitat separation. Chemical reactions proceeding without safety protocols. It's just plants and dirt, Lisa said, opening the terrarium lid. Here, smell this. She held up some flowers. No. Mox's suit emergency protocols activated. Unconstrained organic compounds, reproductive spores, The contamination risk is... They're just flowers, Mox. They smell nice, see? Lisa took a deep breath. Mox watched in amazement as Lisa voluntarily inhaled particles that his suit's filters would have rated as hazardous material. Meanwhile, Ben was introducing Ven to the infamous California geology. They stood at a spot where two students were playing frisbee. "So this is the San Andreas fault," Ben explained enthusiastically. "It's this massive crack in the Earth's crust that runs right through. Active fault line." Ven's translator volume maxed out. "Population centers built directly on tectonic instability zones. This is planetary suicide." "Nah, it's fine," Ben shrugged. "Earthquakes are pretty rare, and when they happen, we've got building codes and stuff. Most people barely notice them." Barely notice ground liquefaction events? Ven's mineral composition actually sparked. Your species lives with tectonic activity as a daily possibility, without evacuation protocols. The frisbee players nearby heard the commotion and asked, "Hey, you talking about earthquakes?" "Yeah, had a little one last month, like a 4.2. Barely. Felt it." Ven's entire structure dimmed. They measure and discuss ground destabilization events like weather. By late afternoon, all 5 alien students were back in their special dormitory, comparing notes on what they were already calling Survival Day 2 on the Hellworld. "The humans," Zik said slowly through his translator, "exist in a state of constant danger and don't realize it. Or," Thrill added, "they realize it and have adapted to find it normal. Which is more terrifying?" "Today's weather alert shows thunderstorms tomorrow," Cree reported mournfully, "with possible lightning. They view electrical atmospheric discharge as entertainment." "I watch them cook," Mox's suit speakers crackled. "They intentionally create chemical reactions at high temperatures, consume the results, and call it delicious. Some reactions even involve fire. Deliberately setting their food on fire." "The geological instability," Ven rumbled, "is not an emergency situation here. It's a tourist attraction. They have something called earthquake tours, where beings pay to experience ground instability." The 5 alien students looked at each other with their various optical and sensory organs. Their first assignment back home was to write a report on daily life on Earth. None of them knew how to explain that daily life on Earth would be considered extreme survival training on any other planet in the galaxy. In the weeks that followed, they would discover that this was just the beginning. Humans didn't just survive their hell world. They had turned its dangers into entertainment, its challenges into sports, and its extremes into everyday life. Matt and Kate, 2 more human students who had joined as additional guides, tried to help them understand. But how could you explain to beings from gentle worlds that humans went to specially dangerous places called beaches for fun? Or that they enjoyed something called roller coasters, machines specifically designed to simulate the sensation of falling or crashing, but safely? The alien students began updating their daily reports with increasingly disturbing observations. No wonder Earth was called a hellworld. The real question was, how had humans not only survived but thrived here? And perhaps more importantly, what did living in such conditions create? The exchange students were about to find out that surviving a hellworld did something very specific to a species. It made them extraordinary in ways the rest of the galaxy couldn't yet imagine. The weekend trip to Yellowstone National Park was supposed to be educational. Dr. Susan Wright, the exchange program director, had carefully planned what she considered a gentle introduction to Earth's natural wonders. The 5 alien students, along with their human guides and additional support staff, loaded into specially modified vehicles for the journey. "This will be perfect," Dr. Wright assured the alien students through their translators. "Yellowstone is one of our most peaceful natural sites. Just some geysers, hot springs, and wildlife. Very calm." The alien students reviewed their emergency supplies one final time. Zix's support exoskeleton had additional backup power cells. Thrill's water suit had triple filtration systems. Kree's environmental shelter could deploy in 0.3 seconds. Mox's pressure suit had been reinforced with emergency expansion capabilities. Ven's transport platform had been upgraded with seismic dampeners. The drive itself was an adventure. As they left the relatively stable ground near Stanford, Ven's geological sensors began detecting increasing seismic activity. Anomalous readings, Ven announced through the translator. Earth's crust shows signs of extreme instability ahead. Magma chamber detected below root. This area should be declared uninhabitable. Oh, that's just Yellowstone, Ben explained cheerfully from the driver's seat. It's a supervolcano. Pretty cool, right? Supervolcano? All 5 aliens made distress sounds simultaneously. You're driving into a supervolcano? This is a joke, yes? Nope, Jake added. Yellowstone's one of the world's largest volcanic systems. Millions of visitors every year. The alien students consulted their emergency protocols. None of them had contingency plans for voluntary approach to active supervolcano. When they arrived at the park entrance, Ranger Pete was waiting to give them the official tour. He was a tall, sun-weathered human who had worked at Yellowstone for 20 years. To him, the park was peaceful. To the alien students, his job description sounded like caretaker of active geological nightmare zone. Welcome to Yellowstone, Ranger Pete announced. Today we'll see Old Faithful, some beautiful hot springs, and if we're lucky, some of our local wildlife. The group's first stop was Old Faithful. As they approached, Ven's sensors went into overdrive. Massive hydrothermal activity detected, Ven reported. Subsurface water superheated to dangerous temperatures. Pressure building. Imminent explosive event predicted. That's Old Faithful, Ranger Pete said, confused. It erupts every 90 minutes or so. Very predictable. You know it explodes? Kree's compound eyes all focused on the Ranger. And you bring beings here to watch? Well, yeah, Pete said, clearly puzzled by their concern. It's beautiful, watch this. On cue, Old Faithful erupted. Superheated water and steam shot 150 feet into the air. Human visitors around them clapped and took photos. The alien students all activated emergency protocols simultaneously. Zix's exoskeleton immediately began spinning up evacuation procedures. Thrill sealed her water suit completely, preparing for catastrophic environmental breach. Kree deployed his chitinous emergency shelter, disappearing behind layers of protective armor. Mox's pressure suit expanded to maximum safety configuration. Ven's platform activated seismic isolation mode. Isn't it beautiful? Amy asked, unaware that her alien friends were all convinced they were watching the planet explode. When the eruption ended and the steam cleared, the alien students cautiously emerged from their emergency configurations. This happens regularly, Zix asked weakly. Every hour and a half, give or take, Ranger Pete confirmed. Been doing it for hundreds of years. The alien students processed this information. On their worlds, any hydrothermal activity was a planetary emergency. Here, humans gathered with their offspring to watch it for entertainment. Next, Ranger Pete led them to the Grand Prismatic Spring. As they approached, sensors on all the alien students began detecting chemical compositions that their collective databases classified as extreme hazard. This is our largest hot spring, Pete explained proudly. About 200 degrees Fahrenheit, almost 400 feet across. Those beautiful colors come from different types of bacteria that thrive in the extreme heat. Bacteria thriving in superheated chemical. Solution? Thrill's tentacles actually turned colors. This is a biological warfare site. No, it's a hot spring, Pete said patiently. People used to bathe in these, though we don't allow that anymore. People bathed in chemical thermal death pools. For fun? Mox's translator couldn't properly process the concept. Kree was scanning the area around the spring. Multiple warning signs detected. Danger. Boiling water. Stay on boardwalk. This entire area is clearly an exclusion zone. It's safe if you stay on the walkways, Pete assured them. Just don't step in the water or you'll cook pretty quick, the Chew. Aliens looked at the tourists casually strolling along wooden platforms above what they considered a planet-killing thermal anomaly. Children were pointing and laughing. One human was eating ice cream while standing near water that could dissolve most known biological matter in seconds. Your species, Ven rumbled slowly. builds recreational walkways over lethal thermal features. And you bring your offspring? Sure, Pete smiled. Kids love it. Educational and fun. After the hot springs, they moved on to what Pete called the wildlife viewing portion of the tour. The group stopped at a safe distance from what their guide assured them was a typical bear family. Kree's compound eyes focused on the creatures. His scanner provided detailed analysis. Large mammalian predators. Estimated mass, 400, 600 terrestrial pounds. Claw length, 6 inches. Bite force, sufficient to crush crystalline structures. Natural weapons capable of penetrating most known armor. Types, they're grizzly bears, Connor explained. Pretty cute, right? Cute? All 5 aliens responded simultaneously. And those, Ranger Pete pointed to wolves in the distance, are our local wolf pack. Beautiful creatures. Additional predatory pack hunters detected. Kree continued scanning. Social hunting behavior, coordinated attack patterns, estimated kill range for pack this size, capable of subduing prey 10 times individual unit mass. Humans share planetary ecosystem with uncontained predator species? Mox's suit speakers crackled with disbelief. Without barrier protocols? Oh, we give them space. Pete waved casually. But yeah, we coexist just fine. They were here first, after all. Lisa, one of the human guides, noticed the aliens' distress. The bears and wolves mostly avoid people. We have safety protocols. Mostly? Zix's crystal structure actually cracked. Mostly avoid? As afternoon approached, the group prepared for lunch at a campsite. The weather, which had been clear, began to change. Clouds gathered on the horizon. Looks like some weather coming. Ranger Pete observed. Might get a little storm later. Kree's antennae immediately deployed to maximum sensitivity. Weather system approaching. Category designation unknown. Electrical activity detected. Multiple atmospheric pressure variables. No control measures in place. It's just a thunderstorm, Jake reassured him. Maybe some lightning, little rain. Nothing serious. Lightning is not serious, Ven rumbled. Uncontrolled electrical discharge in atmosphere. This is weapons-level energy release. The storm approached faster than expected. The first lightning bolt struck a distant tree, illuminating the sky with branching electricity. Wow, good one, Ben exclaimed, pulling out his phone. Let me get a video of this for the meteorology club. The alien students couldn't comprehend what they were witnessing. Rain began to fall, not the controlled, scheduled precipitation. They knew, but random drops of water falling from the sky at varying intensities. Uncontrolled water deployment, Kree screamed through his translator. Electrical atmospheric warfare, planetary assault conditions. Thrill's water suit detected. Each raindrop is a potential contaminant. Chemical composition varying. Unknown water sources. Potential biological agents in precipitation. The humans around them continued with their lunch preparations, some even walking out into the rain without protective gear. People are exposing themselves to the chemical rain voluntarily. Mox's suit had to modulate his voice over the storm sounds. During an electrical attack? It's just rain, Amy said, holding her hands out to catch some drops. It's kind of nice, actually, fresh and clean. You consider precipitation from chaotic weather systems to be nice? Ven processed this information and found their core understanding of the universe shifting. Your species finds enjoyment in meteorological chaos? The storm passed quickly, as Earth storms do. But the damage to the alien students' worldview was permanent. As the sun came out and humans began leaving their shelters with expressions of annoyance about getting slightly wet, the 5 alien students gathered for an emergency conference. We must inform our governments, Zix said firmly. This planet is more dangerous than any of us imagined. The humans, Thrill added, they don't just survive these conditions. They ignore them. They find entertainment in them. They expose their offspring to them deliberately. This is not normal planetary evolution, Kree clicked rapidly. This is a species forged in chaos, shaped by danger, adapted to thrive in conditions that would end civilization on any other world. Dr. Wright approached. the group concerned by their obvious distress. Is everything all right? Did you enjoy your first day at Yellowstone? The emergency faculty meeting was called 3 days after the Yellowstone incident. The 5 alien students had submitted formal requests to terminate their exchange program early, citing extreme survival conditions incompatible with non-Hellworld species. Dr. Susan Wright, along with the human student guides and several professors, gathered in the university's special conference room designed for interspecies communication. Let's try to understand what happened, Dr. Wright began. The aliens seemed genuinely terrified of living on Earth. They're calling it a hell world and want to go home. Professor John Hayes from the physics department reviewed their reports. According to this, they consider our gravity, atmosphere, weather, geology, and biology to be extreme danger zones. They're saying basic human life is equivalent to survival, training for every other known species, Jake tried to explain. They're nice and all, but they freak out over everything. Zix can barely walk in our gravity. Thrill thinks our air is poison. Kree thinks rain is a chemical attack. Maybe they're just not suited for Earth environments, Amy suggested. Different evolutionary paths and all that. Dr. Mary Davis from biology looked up from her tablet. Actually, that's not quite right. I've been studying their reactions. They're not weak or unsuited. They're actually quite robust by galactic standards. The problem is that Earth environments fall outside what they consider normal planetary conditions. What do you mean? Ben asked. Think about it, Dr. Davis continued. They come from worlds with controlled weather, stable geology, and managed ecosystems. To them, Earth is like, imagine if we found a planet where the gravity randomly changed, the air composition shifted daily, and earthquakes were as common as thunderstorms. Professor Hayes nodded. She's right. I ran the numbers. Human tolerance ranges for gravity. Pressure, temperature, and atmospheric composition are actually extraordinary compared to the galactic average. We exist in what other species would consider extreme conditions. But we're normal, Connor protested. Are we? Dr. Davis pulled up a holographic display. Let's look at facts. Humans can survive in temperatures from about -40 degrees to over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Most galactic species have optimal ranges of less than 20 degrees. They require environmental suits outside those ranges, she continued. Our gravity tolerance is equally unusual. We function normally from 0.85 G to about 1.5 G. Other species typically can't handle more than 0.3 G variance from their homeworld. Lisa looked thoughtful. So when they said Earth has crushing gravity... Correct, Professor Hayes confirmed. To most species, Earth's 1.0 G is literally crushing. They evolve in 0.2 to 0.4 G environments. Walking here is like you trying to walk with 2 people on your back. Matt, another student guide, raised his hand. What about the food thing? They acted like our food was toxic waste. Dr. Davis brought up another display. Humans can safely consume thousands of different organic compounds. Most species can process maybe a few hundred. Your normal breakfast contains chemicals that would require medical treatment for other species. Caffeine alone, she continued, is a powerful alkaloid that kills many Earth species. Humans drink it for fun. Chocolate contains theobromine, toxic to most mammals. Humans consider it a treat. Alcohol is literally a poison that we've developed tolerance for. Humans routinely eat things that would hospitalize other species. The room was quiet as this sank in. There's more, Dr. Davis said. Human physical resilience is exceptional. We heal from injuries that would be permanent or fatal to most species. Our immune systems actively fight off countless pathogens daily. Other species require sterile environments or they die from minor infections. Professor Carol Martinez from Evolutionary Biology entered the meeting late, carrying armfuls of data tablets. Sorry I'm late. I've been running comparative analysis on human versus galactic average stress responses. What did you find? Doctor, Wright asked. Humans are built for a chaotic environment, Dr. Martinez explained. Your adrenaline responses, pain tolerance, healing capabilities, sensory adaptations, they're all optimized for a highly dangerous world. You're basically evolved for extreme survival. She displayed her findings. Take exercise. Humans voluntarily stress their bodies to make them stronger. You run until exhaustion, lift crushing weights, push yourselves to physical limits for fun. Other species do minimal physical exertion to avoid injury. And mentally? Dr. Wright prompted. Even more remarkable. Human problem-solving abilities are exceptional because you evolved in an unpredictable environment. You're creative, adaptable, and resourceful. Most species come from stable worlds with predictable challenges. They have set solutions for set problems. Humans, you improvise constantly. Ben scratched his head. So we're basically tough because Earth is tough? Exactly, Dr. Martinez smiled. Earth isn't just dangerous, 6 months into the exchange program, everything had changed. The alien students were no longer just surviving on Earth. They were trying to understand it. The faculty presentation had been a turning point. Understanding that humans weren't crazy for living on Earth, but rather specially adapted to thrive here, had given the alien students a new perspective. Now, they were attempting something no one had expected. They were trying to participate in human activities. In the university gymnasium, an unprecedented scene was unfolding. Coach Mike had set up what he considered the gentlest possible workout routine. The alien students, with their various support equipment, were attempting human exercise. Zix, still in his exoskeleton but with enhanced stability systems, was attempting what Coach Mike called light stretching. To the crystalline being, each movement was a carefully calculated risk. His body, designed for the gentle 0.3 G of his homeworld, creaked with each motion. But he was trying. Good effort, Zix. Coach. Mike encouraged. Let's try reaching for your toes. Toes not designed for reaching, Zix translated back, but attempting biomechanical impossibility for learning purposes. Nearby, Thrill was in her specialized underwater treadmill, a device the engineering department had jury-rigged for aquatic exercise. She was attempting what humans called water aerobics. Her tentacles moved awkwardly, creating patterns she described as chaotic fluid dynamics for cardio health improvement. Cree was the most surprising participant. The insectoid had discovered that his compound eyes made him exceptionally good at tracking multiple objects. He was attempting to play catch, something that on Hive Prime would require a committee decision and orbital calculations. Ball trajectory predicted. Cree clicked with what sounded like satisfaction. Carapace successfully intercepted projectile without structural failure. This explains human hand-eye coordination dominance in galactic sports statistics. Mox, in his pressure suit, was floating in place while attempting something called yoga. His gaseous form, contained within the suit, was trying to achieve warrior pose. The sight of a gas being in a pressure suit attempting ancient human flexibility exercises would have been comical if it weren't so genuinely earnest. Internal. Pressure redistributing, Mox reported. Meditation helping manage stress of constant atmosphere compression, beginning to understand human mindfulness adaptation techniques. Ven faced the greatest challenge. The silicon-based being couldn't safely exercise in traditional ways, but they had discovered something interesting. Geology labs became their gymnasium. They spent hours analyzing mineral samples, which to them was like humans studying martial arts katas, learning to read and respond to Earth's seismic patterns. Micro-tremor detection improving, Ven reported to Dr. Wright, who was observing the session. Human adaptation to geological instability now making sense. Your species developed subconscious equilibrium adjustments. Dr. Neil Johnson, the guest speaker for that week, watched the alien students with fascination. As head of NASA's Theoretical Physics Division, he had been invited to discuss human space exploration. What he saw in the gym interested him more than his planned presentation. They're not just adapting, he said to Dr. Wright. They're beginning to understand what makes humans unique. Look at how they're approaching challenges now. Jake was spotting Zix during an attempted push-up, technically more like a push attempt given the exoskeleton. How's that feel, Zix? Want to try for 2? Negative, Zix strained. But note, Human Jake performs exercise equivalent to 3x my homeworld gravity without mechanical assistance, and suggests repetition as if simple task. Remarkable species adaptation confirmed. Amy was helping Thrill adjust to the treadmill. You're doing great. Want to try increasing the speed a little? Human optimism noted. Thrill gurgled. Still processing that slow walk for humans equals major cardiovascular effort for Neptus dwellers. Your definition of gentle exercise remains suspect. Dr. Johnson turned to Dr. Wright. This is fascinating. They're experiencing firsthand what we've been trying to explain. Human normal is extreme by galactic standards. That afternoon in the scheduled lecture hall, Dr. Johnson began his presentation on human space exploration. The alien students attended, now wearing specialized learning interfaces that help them process human technical concepts. Humans have been exploring space for about 70 years, Dr. Johnson began. We've visited our moon, sent probes to every planet in our solar system, and maintained a permanent presence in low Earth orbit. Query, Van interrupted politely. Your species achieved spaceflight using chemical propulsion, without gravitational manipulation or quantum tunneling. That's right, Dr. Johnson confirmed. Mostly rocket engines burning chemical fuel. The alien students exchanged what their human friends now recognized as impressed communications. Chemical propulsion from 1.0 g gravity well, Mox calculated through his suit. Energy requirements exponential. Humans achieved orbit through brute force mathematics and controlled explosions? Basically, yes, Dr. Johnson smiled. We strapped ourselves to barely controlled bombs and rode them to space. Insane, Cree clicked, but logical conclusion for species from Chaos World, unable to wait for elegant technology, must conquer physics through determination and acceptable risk. Acceptance, Dr. Johnson continued. Our early astronauts endured conditions that were challenging. No gravity, radiation exposure, limited supplies, constant risk of catastrophic failure. Wait, Thrill interjected. Humans voluntarily experienced zero gravity without medical necessity for exploration? Yes, and many reported it as the experience of their lives. Some requested extended stays. The alien students were silent for a moment. On Zorian, Zik said slowly, zero gravity exposure is used only for medical treatments or emergency. Maximum safe exposure, 4 standard time units. Humans spend weeks, months in zero gravity? Some for nearly a year, Dr. Johnson confirmed. We study the effects, adapt, overcome challenges. It's what humans do. Jake raised his hand. Dr. Johnson, we learned something interesting about how other species develop space technology. Most wait until they have gravity manipulation or antimatter drives. We just went for it. That's correct, Dr. Johnson nodded. From a galactic perspective, human space exploration is considered reckless haste with primitive technology. Most species develop space travel after achieving fundamentally different physics understanding. But we couldn't wait, Amy added. We saw the moon and just had to go there. Typical human impatience, Ben joked. No, Cree interrupted seriously. Not impatience. Human adaptation showing again. Species from Chaos World doesn't wait for perfect conditions. Acts despite danger. Improvises solutions. Pushes forward through obstacles rather than around them. Dr. Johnson looked at the insectoid. That's actually a very astute observation. Human space exploration does reflect our terrestrial approach to challenges. It's why your species achieved radio technology in less than 10,000 years of civilization, Mox added. Most species take 100,000 to 500,000 years. Earth chaos created pressure for rapid technological adaptation. Dr. Wright, who had joined the session, was amazed. They understand us better than we understood ourselves. As the semester progressed, the transformation in the alien students became remarkable. They didn't just tolerate Earth's conditions. They began appreciating why these conditions had shaped humans into something unique. In their final month, they requested something unprecedented. Field trips to experience controlled versions of what they now called human normal challenges. Coach Mike organized a camping trip. Not to anywhere extreme, just a night under the stars in a nearby park. To the alien students, it was equivalent to survival training. Sleeping outside, Kree mused, safely in his climate-controlled tent. Without sealed habitat, humans willingly expose themselves to night predators, temperature variations, and uncontrolled acoustic input. Yet report experience as restful. The stars you see tonight, Dr. Johnson told them during the campfire session, are the same ones that inspired our ancestors to dream of space travel. Before telescopes, before math, humans looked up and wondered. We've always been explorers, because your world forced you to be, Thrill observed from her mobile aquatic unit. Stability is death on Earth. Change is survival. So humans became beings of constant motion, constant curiosity, constant adaptation. The fire crackled, and, for a moment, human and alien students sat together, understanding passing between them. You know what I realized? Jake said to Zix. You're not weak or fragile. Your world just didn't need you to be Earth-strong. But you've adapted here. You're walking now without the exoskeleton as much. You're lifting things I used to have to help you with. Human Jake is correct, Zix admitted. Extended exposure to Earth conditions has increased my structural resilience by 23%. Crystal matrix actually becoming denser. Earth gravity training providing unexpected benefits. Same here, Thrill added. My tentacles have developed better motor control. My system processes higher oxygen levels now without excessive filtration. Not comfortable, but possible, Amy smiled. You're all getting Earth tough. Scary thought. Kree clicked, and what they'd learned was amusement. If we adapt to Earth standards, what does that make us by galactic norms?